Welcome to That 30 Show, a podcast where we talk about the good, the bad, and the surprising parts of our 30s. I'm G, and I'm finally 30. I'm excited to find out if 30 really is the new 20, because if it is, then the best years are yet to come.
And I'm David. I'm entering my mid-30s. I used to have no back pain or trouble sleeping, but now I live off a healthy diet of self-help books and dream of being in bed by 10 p.m. every night. Join us each week as we try to figure out together what life in your 30s is all about. Welcome back to That 30 Show, everybody.
Welcome back. And it's a very special day today. Actually, the day we're recording is not, but the day that you're listening to it is actually David's birthday. Yay! Happy birthday, David. It is right.
And you're assuming though that everyone or a lot of people who listen the day it's released, which we know there are a few.
Wow. True.
We're blessed with a few of listeners like that, but I'm guessing most are not listening on the day it's released. But yes, we are releasing this episode on my birthday. It wasn't planned like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, if your birthday falls on Monday. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, how old are you turning?
So, birthday episode today.
Yeah.
I am turning 34. Oh my God.
So, you were born in 1989.
89. Oh, yeah.
Same year as Taylor Swift. And your birthday is so close to her birthday. Gosh.
When's her birthday?
December 13th.
We're basically best friends.
Yeah. December 13th.
December, baby.
You guys were like, wow, that's crazy.
I'm also the same year as Emma Watson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So another person I could have been good friends with, but I'm not, sadly.
Yeah. Wow, you're almost in your mid-30s. That's fun. That's exciting.
I often compare myself, not compare, but I often think about people that I see on, in my books and YouTube and, generally influential, successful people. And they're all in their early 30s. I'm like, God, I haven't done anything with my life. Compared to Taylor Swift and Emma Watson.
Well, I mean, so few of us should compare ourselves to Taylor Swift, but yes, I know.
It's a high bar, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Can't compare yourself to the music industry, so.
Time person of the year at 34.
I know. That's crazy. Usually it's like politicians and stuff, right? Do you know anybody with the same birthday as you?
Brad Pitt. Oh. I don't know him. I know of him.
Nice.
I think one of my friends has, or at least one or maybe more of my friends has a mom or a dad that has the same birthday as me.
Uh-huh. Are you a Sagittarius?
I am. What does that mean?
I don't really know.
I'm not an astrology girl.
I don't really know, to be honest, but
you're not an astrology girl?
Well, sometimes. I just know that I don't relate to mine, so I don't know if you've ever read up on what Sagittarius.
I mean, yeah, I have, but not not enough detail to recall or relate to it in any meaningful way. But it's funny. Do you talk about that stuff when you connect with guys on dates and stuff? Like, does it come up? Because it's a joke sometimes, right? This generation or you. I have once or twice, and then they're like, "Oh, are you that kind of girl?" So
the astrology girl. I'm an Aries. But I think we talked about this before, but I'm not an Aries at all. Yeah. So anyways, but today is not about me. Today is all about David because it's his birthday. And I thought it'd be fun to do an episode where I just ask David a bunch of questions, get to know him. But actually, okay, so the questions are kind of they're really random. Some are about you. Some are hypothetical questions, what do you think you would do? Or
yeah.
So, I mean, and David has not seen these questions.
Yeah,
so.
I usually do have a hand in prep, but this week I literally just rolled out of bed and propped on the camera, and here we are. So, but it's kind of, I think usually this week we would be in rotation to do a lessons on episode where we share things that we've read or heard about that we want to share insightful information on. Mm-hmm. So, in a way, this week is lessons on David, yeah. No, it'll be fun. It'll be super fun. I think people will.
People will hopefully enjoy getting to know you a little bit.
I feel like people know me pretty well from this podcast. So I'm hoping we can peel back additional layers, but I'm not sure if how many layers we'll peel back because I think I'm pretty transparent already. But
yeah. So the first question. So you are turning 34 or you've turned 34. If you could go back and tell your 24-year-old self one thing, what would it be? First of all, where were you at 24? Like, what were you doing? What, like,
I was at my current employer already. I've been there for my entire freaking life, which actually is my answer. I would tell myself to try and find another job outside of that institution.
Would it be the current job that you have?
No, because my current job is still at the same institution. So just to give everyone some context, I've been working at the same higher education institution for over 10 years now. And while that's all fun and good, it's not really the ideal way to spend your 20s. As Peter said, 20s is when you should fail fast. And I just never had the courage or the drive to do that. And in a way, you could make a very easy argument that the ship has not sailed yet and that it's never too late. But it does age, and as your life responsibilities get more serious, I think you have less room to fail because you want to start saving up for, not maybe me per se, but generally you want to start saving up for weddings, for kids, for mortgages, for down payments and stuff like that. And so, if I were to like, hey, let me restart my career and go back to school, like it's never say never, it's never too late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would probably
want more stability.
My 24-year-old self to, it's a central theme for our podcast. It's not, don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of taking a step back. Don't be afraid of trying. And just get more life experience or more professional experience elsewhere. Do more, live life more like Kim in her 20s.
Well, do you think you would have like gone traveling or like try, like, is there a career or a field that you kind of wish that you maybe would have like dabbled in or tried out?
Honestly, I don't know if it's a specific career, but I honestly wish this came up just last night. I was talking to my partner about it, but I wish I had gone to private sector because I think my personality is a much better fit for private sector than public. Do you know what that means? Like, it's less bureaucratic, less PC, depending on sort of where you're working at, I guess. But like, I'm reading about how, Elon, Tesla, SpaceX, and how they run stuff. Like, it's not, there's, pros and cons, but certainly the way they approach the work is much more like
no
BS. I have a very low tolerance for BS, and there's a lot of BS in public sector companies.
I mean, I even feel that, and I have a high tolerance for it. So, I hear you.
So I would have loved to see sort of how I, as an individual, would have thrived or grown or developed in a private sector company. And also, I would have loved to see how I would have done if I had forced myself to try something along the lines of programming or data analysis, something that's much more in line with my robotic mind. Like I can do well with coaching and mentoring because I've learned to do that and I enjoy it, but I think my brain is wired naturally for a technical job.
Okay. All right. Well, along the lines of reflecting, I suppose, if you could think back to your 24-year-old self in the past, like 10 years, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen, whether that's in your like personality or like a situational change or...
I mean, we've covered some of those in the pod, but we can maybe summarize. But so biggest changes in the past 10 years, definitely the first thing that comes to my mind is just the amount that I'm reading and the things that the main themes and books I'm interested in reading. I wasn't reading anything at all until about maybe 4 years ago. I think I started reading again. And like at the age of 24, I don't think I've read a single self-help book. I was not interested in that space at all. I don't think I was actually interested in self-improvement in the same way at all. I think I was interested in yeah, generally I'm a pretty self-improvement guy, but yeah, not actively so at the age of 24. So I think the biggest difference now is that I'm very into self-improvement, whether it's mindset and mindfulness, which is a big part, but also health. This idea of like, how can I optimize myself? You know, that's a huge change. I don't think that's why, like, so when I talk to some people in their mid 20s and they're telling me that they're doing these things, I'm like, you're way ahead. Like, I only started this a few years ago.
So what were you interested in at 24? Was it more social stuff? Like, but you were never, like a partier. So
no,
what were
but,
you interested in at 24?
Yeah, but my friends always say like, oh, David, you're one of the busiest. You always have a full calendar. I certainly think I was much more sociable. I just because I don't get drunk every weekend doesn't mean I'm not sociable.
That's true. That's true. I remember that was actually the biggest change that I've seen. Well, I don't know if I've known you for 10 years, but like you used to stay out a lot later than you do now.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I was probably playing more video games, more board games, just hanging with friends, like focusing on the social aspect a lot more, just not exercising. As I think it's easier to answer that in terms of like what I wasn't doing than what I was doing. I wasn't actively exercising. Yeah. I wasn't reading. I don't know. Can you remember? I know it's not about me, but like it's hard to remember 10 years ago. What was my life like 10 years ago? Do you remember what your life was like 10 years ago?
10 years ago. It's like almost the same thing that I'm doing now.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, still, you're much more impressive than me.
I mean, still going out. I was always kind of into personal development stuff. I was always kind of like a more routine person. Okay, next question. We're going way back now. So can you describe one happy memory from your childhood? You talked about Christmas already, but like, is there anything else?
I remember my playing with friends. Like I think and some of the things that we did was really fun. So I remember I had different phases with some of my friends in elementary school. So one of the phases we were into where we were really into folding paper airplanes, and that was really fun. Oh. So like not that exciting, but you're very young, right? So you're folding different. You're trying to design different models and different ways to fold it and see like, is this airplane going to fly farther? And we would, just spend the whole lunchtime folding paper airplanes and like throwing them in the playground. It doesn't sound very fun, but like, I just remember
the simple things were so fun. Yeah.
And then another phase I had was a Lego car phase when we would build our own cars. And then there was this slope at our elementary school. Every time I visit my elementary school, I always visit that slope because it's this slope with like a brick laid sort of curving path down this slope. I'm like, I spent so many hours on this slope. We would build our Lego cars and we would just, run it down this slope and see how it would go and see how durable it would be. And if it like breaks apart, we try and make it stronger. Yeah. So I had a Lego car phase. I also had a phase when we would build, those long jump pits also double as a bit of a sand pit. Mm-hmm. Right. So again, in elementary school, my friends and we would go during when it's raining or when after rain, there would be water puddles. Yeah. And then we would build rivers and stuff in the sand pit. We would design rivers and like pathways, and I spent hours there.
That's really fun. I remember like sometimes the sand pit would get new sand. Did you guys ever have that? And we're like, what? Like, did this fall out of the sky? Like, how is there new sand? But yeah. That's fun.
So it's just these little things that I remember doing, having a lot of fun. Like I would go back to my elementary school, like, oh God, I spent hours in this spot, or I spent hours in that spot. Well, like, oh, that's where we played this. That's where we played that. So one more thing that I really liked, that I really remember from my childhood, and I want to say this because I think this is so, such a David thing to say probably. But one of my favorite things that I remember doing was learning how to type. Because we had a software program.
Was it all the right type? All
the right type. Oh, yeah? Okay. You were part of the same generation. Nice.
Yeah.
So all the right type was my jam. So this is how intense I was about it. I would stay after school voluntarily, often by myself, in the computer. And I would go to the computer room. Yeah. And I would be like, Mom, I'm doing this after school next day. So like, don't pick me up right away. Like pick me up after an hour. I really liked typing. I had a typing game program on my computer when I was a kid, and I did that a lot too.
So are you a super fast typer now then from your childhood
I don't know
years?
if, yeah, I would say I am, but I don't know how that compares. Maybe everyone's like that speed, but my sister and I, because my sister and I both play piano, so we always like to do those like type racer games. I think when I'm fast, I don't know what's fast. I think I can probably go 160 or 170 words per minute.
Wow.
Do you type fast?
That was fun. Yes, but I think I get a lot of things wrong, so I don't know if that's actually. So
people from our generation, right? Like we actually know how to type because we had those programs that taught us about this is the home roll. This is where you like. That's why there's any kids listening, and I know there's a few kids listening, not kids, Gen Z people listening. Meeting up with one of my friends who listens to this podcast next week, and she's Gen Z. You know those ridges on F and J on your keyboard? There's a ridge there.
Yeah.
That's so that your fingers can tactilely know where to place your fingers. Your index finger should go there. But I don't think kids these days know how to type.
They just like the one finger.
The one finger technique, which is very, very inefficient.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at like technique? Like I hover over it. Yeah.
So you hit Q. You do type Q with your left pinky.
Ooh, now I don't know.
Really? You don't know?
I don't think I use my pinkies. So I guess I don't.
You don't type properly.
Okay.
I'm just typical me sounding very snobbish about some completely inconsequential thing.
Okay, anyways, those are good memories. I think recess and lunch are also like, my favorite memories. After school, I could just stay at the playground forever. So that is definitely...
What did you play?
I was very like active. So I played on the swings and I tried to do tricks on the swings a lot. Monkey bars, like grounders, like those kinds of games, right? So a lot of
no Legos.
Games. No Legos. No sand pits. Actually, sometimes a sand pit. Okay, next question. If you were given the chance to see your life into the future, one glance at one thing, would you want to?
Yeah. Totally.
Do you have something that you would want to see? Like
I never thought about it, but now they're asking me. So are you telling me like, oh, if I could find out what I'm doing or how many kids I have, like just like, is that what you?
Like one moment, yeah. Like if you could travel to one moment in time in the future.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like something to do with job or kids, or my home, like house. Maybe
how far would you want to like in 10 years time or in 20 years time? Yeah, that's a good point.
I think 10 to 15 years is where I'd be interested, because I'd be like, oh, let me see, like if I have any kids, how are they? Am I still living in an apartment, or do I have a house or home or a townhome? You know? Yeah. Am I still in Vancouver? Yeah. So it's still relevant because it's still near enough that I'm like, oh, okay. If I let's say if I fast forward to 60 and I'm in like South Africa, I'm like, okay, well,
how did I get there? when did I get there?
There's a lot of dots that I have to connect, and I don't.
You're like there on vacation, or you're there living permanently full time.
But for example, if I fast forward 10 years and I'm living in a town home in Coquitlam, like I'm like, okay, that I can see how that would have happened.
I agree. I would love to see, but I love like spoilers and whatever. But we talked about this with some of my friends, and some of them just don't want to see because they don't want to see what's going on into the future. They'd rather.
Well, I mean, the classic question is like, do you want to know how and when you will die? And no, I don't. For that, I would say no.
Would you rather know how you die or when you die?
When? How just seems. How, like, for example, it's like, oh, you died in a car crash. I'm like, holy God.
Yeah.
That happened today? Like, every day I get in a car, I'm like, is this the day that happens?
Right.
Or like, if it's just like, oh, you're gonna die by a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, that could happen anytime.
Next question. Who or what inspires you?
I have two answers.
Okay.
First one is not gonna, what's the word? People are not gonna like it. Some people are not gonna like it.
Okay.
But I really look up to people like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, not because I agree or condone every aspect of their life or personality, but specific things that they've done or specific things that they do are things I really look up to. And they're both people who have pushed the boundaries of what's possible. And that's something that really inspires me. I think something that Steve Jobs once said is like, look around you in the world. Everything that you see are built and created by people who are no more remarkable and no smarter than you are. Or people like Johnny Kim. I think that's someone I mentioned before on the podcast. I forgot his name then, but it's Johnny Kim, the Chinese astronaut, surgeon, sniper rifle dude. So all these people are like, define what's possible. It's like, oh, you can never do, or like David Goggins. Like I read as well. So like, these are all people that I look up to a lot. Johnny Kim, David Goggins, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, because they all have the same theme of like, they have redefined what is possible. You know, when Elon's like, oh, I want to start a space company, rocket company, like, okay, like that's not what he wanted. He wanted to make humanity multiplanetary, but he's like, well, let me do that by creating a rocket company. And it's like, everyone's telling him not to do that because who's been successful doing that? Even when when he's starting Tesla, he's like, at the time, he felt that there was a 10% chance of success, but that didn't stop him. You know, Steve Jobs, he pushed people to do things with his product similar to Elon that people were like, oh, you can't do this. It's like, no, do it or else you're fired. I mean, that's not a great way to treat people, but you achieve incredible results as a result. Yeah. David Goggins is the same thing. David Goggins is like, let me do this thing. When I'm at my limit, we talked about this in the past. When we're at my limit, let me push past it. So these people who live a life that exemplify the concept of redefining what's possible and pushing mankind and humanity to new heights.
So basically ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
I mean, I don't think Elon is ordinary. And I want to say this, sorry, this is going on and on, but the second answer to that is, this is a little cheesy maybe, and I promise I'm not just saying this, but my partner inspires me a lot because she has traits and attitudes and outlooks in life that I don't have. So she's very, very positive. And she has I can go on and on, but let me boil it down to one thing. There's more things, but let me boil it down to one thing so we can move on. The way she thinks about things is that she defines what she wants to do, and then she figures out how to go there. So she doesn't look at like, what are her resources, or what are the available options, or what are available skills. That's what I do. For example, I'm like, okay, these are the skills I have. Like, what job can I do with it? Instead, she'll be like, well, this X is what I want to do. And it doesn't matter how far-fetched it is or how hard it is. It's like, well, if this is what I want to do, this is the goal I'm going to set, and I'm going to just figure out a way to get there, no matter what. So this is actually a clash. Like, for example, when we plan travel things, and she's like, I want to go here, here, here. I'm like, oh, that's not realistic. Like, and she's like, well, I'll just wake up earlier. Like, what's the problem? It's like, it's like, we want to go to this thing because something happens at 8 a.m., but this thing is like 3 hours from home. I'm like, oh, well, we just can't do that. And then we're like, well, why can't you do that? We just wake up at 3 a.m. then. And I'm like, oh, I guess so. Like, it never occurred to me that
you got to channel the Elon and the Steve and the pushing boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the same thing, right? It's like someone who's like this, oh, I want to travel to Mars. Oh, I want to travel to this destination at 8 a.m. These are the same thing. It's this idea like, I'm going to decide what I want to do, and I'm just going to figure out how to get there. No excuses.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. I feel inspired now. See, I knew that David doesn't need to know the questions in advance. He just has all these thoughts in his head that we need to extract. Okay, That was great. That's a way better answer than I was ever expecting. Okay. Okay, this is a fun one. If you were in Harry Potter, what would your Patronus be? Essentially your spirit animal, I suppose. And why?
It's so funny. If you don't watch The Office, but it's a fairly popular show, so hopefully some listeners get the reference. I had on my dating profile when I was single, I like The Office so much, and I like the character Dwight Schrute so much that one of my lines on my Bumble profile or something was like, Dwight Schrute is my spirit animal. That doesn't land with you because you don't know Dwight, but anyways, he's a human, so he's not my spirit animal, but that's just something that comes to my mind. Oh, you know what? You know that meme where you have that monkey that is side-eyeing you?
Yeah.
You know that monkey is like this, and he's like pretty big eyes, and he's just going like...
Yeah. Is that that's your spirit animal?
It's my spirit animal because I look exactly like him. Like that
I could,
monkey.
I could see it. Not the monkey part, but the shifty eyes, like the
No, yeah,
awkward.
yeah. Like I think fairly big eyes, and then when I like that, like you can see a lot of the whites in my eye, which is like the monkey. And then so, like, anyways, maybe we can post the stories on my like. I'll show you a photo I have,
Yep.
where I look exactly like that monkey meme.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's funny.
so
Okay,
everyone,
I like that.
check out the stories for that. It's so funny. It's actually so funny. I look so much
David
like that.
versus monkey meme. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That's funny. Okay, next question. What makes you angry? Like not annoyed, not like some random annoyance, but like what actually
People
makes
who
you angry?
like
Not the people who
to the back of
the back of the
back
bus. That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's kind of along those same lines. I don't think I have much of a barrier between annoyance and anger because I don't think I'm not someone who gets angry easily. So something that comes to my mind is basically people who break their word but break it flippantly. Do you know what I mean? So like they're late and they don't think they've done anything wrong. Like if you're late and you apologize, like I'll still be annoyed, but I'm like, okay, well at least you've taken responsibility and taken accountability for your actions. But yeah, I think I get generally angrier if someone says they'll do something or promises to do something or whatever, something along those lines, and they don't do it and they don't think they've done anything wrong or they don't acknowledge it or they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, you just basically, I don't like liars. Like to me, if you say you'll do something and you don't do it, you're lying. And if you don't apologize for it, then you're an irresponsible.
Well, I guess it's also a respect thing too, right? You feel probably disrespected when that happens. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great way to frame it. I think it's a sense of disrespect. Angry. I also get angry when I feel like I've already done everything I can, and it's and we're having a conversation, but the other person's still unsatisfied, or they still have some issue with it. I'm just thinking back to like the 1 or 2 times I can remember actually blowing up, which is so rare for me. But when I suddenly feel like and I'm bursting, I suddenly need to raise my voice, regrettably, is times when someone is just they're not happy with the situation or with me, and I'm just like I've already done X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. And like, what do you want me to do? And I remember I'm just go like, what do you want?
Yeah. What do you want from me?
Yeah. Like I feel so, it's like unreasonable when things are unreasonable or if you're unaccountable or irresponsible. But
well, when you think it's unreasonable, right? I mean, it's
sure. Yeah.
subjective.
Of course. Yeah. When I think it's unreasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, we're just friends, so you don't really see me in that like higher stakes emotional investment situation. But like, have you ever seen me angry?
No, I've seen you annoyed plenty of times, but never angry.
I do have a fairly strong opinion that anger is a very unhelpful and destructive emotion. So I don't believe in being angry, and I try not to be angry.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, now that I've got you all fired up, can you describe your perfect day?
Yeah. Have we talked about this, or we talked about your?
We've described my perfect day. We've never talked about yours. So and this is like you have no responsibilities for the day. Like you could do whatever you want.
My perfect day starts with waking up before 7:30 or 7 a.m., feeling fully refreshed and awake. And waking up naturally without an alarm. So I want to naturally wake up at 6:30 or 7, feeling fully refreshed, fully awake, having slept at least 7.5 hours. So that's the first ingredient. The second ingredient is actually doing my morning routine. The perfect day it starts with me having done my full bedtime routine the night before. That sets me up for this day. Because oftentimes when I don't do my evening routine, I have to catch up. For example, my evening routine involves looking at my next day and planning and time blocking and be like, okay, what am I doing? What are the things I want to do? These are the things I need to get done. When am I going to do it? But if I don't get to that during my bedtime routine, I have to do it the next day. And then everything's like just behind. I'm not hitting the ground running, and I don't like that feeling. Like I know this is kind of boring. You're like, you want me to say I want to go to Disneyland and stuff, but I just know when I have waking up feeling fully refreshed, having done my evening routine, and I can do my whole morning routine, like everything's just clicking. It's clicking and it feels great. Like I was just thinking about this. Like tomorrow, I'm spending the day doing anything I want because to celebrate my birthday, and I want to play board games and build Lego. But I was thinking to myself, I actually don't want to do that without like I don't want to do that just sit down at my at the table and like doing that for 10 hours straight because I'm not going to feel good afterwards.
Right.
I want to do it after having eaten breakfast. I want to do it while taking breaks.
Yeah.
While maybe going for a walk. And just feeling good about myself because I know sometimes when I sit down and do something that I really like, but I'm not drinking water, I'm not eating snacks. By the end of it, I had fun, but I don't feel good.
Yeah. Well, that's your answer at 34 compared to like if you were 14. Like that's probably what you want to do all day is to play board games all day, But now,
we have
now
experience. It's like let me do it, but like in a healthy way. Yeah. Okay. Now let me try and be a little bit more interesting and go past my morning evening routine.
Okay.
So it definitely involves my perfect day. Definitely involves doing something I've never done before or learning something new.
Okay.
So I like new experiences. So anytime, let's say I've never gone go-karting. Oh, I get to go go-karting for the first time. Or I've never been to this hike. I'm doing this hike for the first time. I want to be able to sleep that night being like, I did something I've never done before in my life. And it's not just like, oh, I bought a different brand of bread. No, it's like
right.
Something exciting, meaningful, something that I can add. I had a blog at one point called For the First Time in My Life. But I described it as life as being like a palette of colors. And every time I can reflect and identify something I've done for the first time, and this was for the blog. So this is whether it's big or small. So I could go skiing for the first time, or it could be I do a new stretch for the first time. I wanted to like acknowledge and identify these things I've done for the first time. So I could do a micro blog about it as just one sentence every day, identify or do something for the first time in my life. So every blog is for the first time in my life, ... And then the way I described it is that life is kind of like a palette of colors. And every time I can identify and reflect and share something that I've done for the first time in my life, whether it's as small as buying a new brand of a new brand of bread I've never bought or going skydiving, these are all new drops of color on this palette that is my life. And that every time I do something new, I'm adding a new color and a new drop. And then I create this I see this mosaic of colors that are very colorful and vibrant and dynamic. And I want to make this canvas, I guess, as colorful and as dynamic as possible. And that's how I see my life.
That's so beautiful.
Creative?
That's so touching. Yeah, that's very beautiful. Can we link this blog? Like, is that something we can share?
Yeah, it's very old. And so I only ran it for like a few months and I haven't updated it for like over 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I was doing something new, it involves great conversation, intellectually stimulating conversation where I feel my brain being pulled and pushed in different ways. That's sort of the generic part. I'm not saying anything specific like, oh, I want to go skiing and stuff. But like if I'm doing something new and if I'm having great conversation, if I'm feeling refreshed throughout the day, then that's pretty great. Definitely it has to involve something outdoors though. Not for the whole day, but I've got to spend some time outside. Yeah. In nature. Because I'm my happiest self when I'm in nature.
I mean, that sounds great. I hope you get to do that one day or, tomorrow or whenever. Okay. Next question. What qualities do you admire in yourself?
Oh, this is a good question. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
I know.
Talk about it.
That's why I asked it. Or actually, I think Uday came up with this question, but I was thinking of it too.
This is a better. I'd rather this question be asked to you or to my partner or to my friends.
Well, it's asked to you because you don't like answering this question.
Yeah, well, who does, right? Because it seems very aggrandizing. How do you pronounce that word? But I will indulge because it is my episode. So for everyone who's still listening, thank you for your interest in me pumping my own tires. So I like my ability to not ability, because I sometimes fail at it, but relative to maybe the average person, I admire my ability to make non-emotional decisions or not let emotions affect my decision making when it's not helpful. Mm-hmm. So let's say that, for example, when you do investments, a lot of people who invest who lose money is because they make emotional decisions. Mm-hmm. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, the dynamic investment duo, they're very famous for saying that they always say, we have not made a single investment decision based on emotion, mm-hmm. or that is influenced by emotion. So, for example, I was talking to a friend about this. I was like, "Oh, I recently started, index investing, where I just, invest in the S&P 500, and then I just never sell, and then over time it's going to go up." And then they're like, "Well, David, it's easy for you to say that, but like, people struggle with that because when the stock market collapses, which it always does every now and then, they see all their life savings, plummet. You see your portfolio, it's down 20%, down 30%. I'm like, oh my God. And then people are like, oh, I don't want to lose more money. And then they sell. This is what most people do. Mm-hmm. And then for me, it's very, it doesn't make any sense because it's very clear in the data that if you just hold, the market will eventually go back up. So you don't need to mm-hmm. panic. Mm-hmm. And if you don't need that money in the long term, you can just keep your money in the market and it will go back up. To me, it seems fairly simple to do that, but mm-hmm. apparently it's not. Apparently, people will see their investments declining a lot, and they will sell because they don't want to lose more money, even though you don't actually lose money until you sell. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Not very interesting to you, probably, but it's like it's an example of making non-emotional decisions.
Yeah.
When it's like very clear. So I like that about myself.
Yeah.
I will say one more thing. I guess I can probably brainstorm more, but to move on to the next question. I think I do like my honesty. I know that there's a time and place for it, and I often fail in selecting the right time and place for it. But ultimately, I think it takes some level of vulnerability and courage to be as honest as I am. I think more vulnerable than courage allows me to do that more than the average person. And it's sort of like, this is all of me, even to my friends, certainly to my partner. Mm-hmm. If I make a mistake, I'm not gonna deny that. I'll be like, yep, I was wrong. Or if you present me with evidence or data, I'm like, oh yeah, that was completely my fault. I'm not gonna hesitate to own up to that, or something like that. And so I think I like my honesty, and I hope that people appreciate it. Though I know sometimes I need to learn the right time to be honest.
You know what? Those are the two things that I was going to say that I admire about you too. So thanks. Like you're like the logical side, how you're always like questioning things. And then the fact that you can just like say things, because I don't have a lot of friends like you. Most of my friends are more like, feely and like,
beat around the bush.
Yeah, kind of beat around the bush, not so blunt. So that's always one thing that,
it's a double-edged sword though, right? It's important to acknowledge. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. If you could master any talent or skill, what would it be? No physical barriers, no nothing.
The first thing that comes to my mind is singing.
Okay.
I actually love singing. And I wish I had a better voice. I think if I did, I would. This definitely does sound self-indulgent rather. Mm-hmm. But I would love to like have a good voice and actually like sing covers and upload videos and.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that about you. Okay, cool. What's the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
This is hard. Spontaneous. I don't think I have an answer for that, but something that comes to my mind, it's not spontaneous. It's more like daring. Mm-hmm. Is that the night before the final day of high school, a couple friends and we decided to sneak into our high school for fun. For our school, there's a fence all around the perimeter because it's a private property, right? And so in order to sneak in, we had to climb over the fence, and on the top of the fence, there's barbed wire because they want to make sure they keep people out. So we climbed in, basically we trespassed into private property after hours. Yeah. And there was a security guard who's there 24/7. And then we had to make sure we didn't get caught by him. And then we went into the premise, and then we scaled the building and we climbed to the roof by climbing on some pipes and stuff.
Whoa.
And then we spent like a few hours on the rooftop, just being cool and being
hanging out.
And then we thought we were so cool, sneaking around the school, illegally, essentially.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's not spontaneous, but it's something
that is pretty bold.
What I would normally do.
Yeah. Okay. If you could invent any gadget or device, no matter how outrageous, what would it do and what problem would it solve?
It would be the first thing I thought was time travel, but that's time machine. But that's too much, because then we get into the logic of the Back to the Future, essentially, whether you can change, stop your parents from meeting. So the other thing that comes to my mind is teleportation machine. Yeah.
That would be very helpful.
I mean, I think it's obvious what it would solve, right?
Oftentimes when I'm sitting in traffic, I'm like, man, if I could just teleport now. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even just that. It's, it would create a lot of problems too, because you could have people illegally immigrating around the world. And
well, I guess
I would teleport into the Oval Office and like set off nuclear war or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure if you have a way to constrain how you teleport, then having a teleportation machine would be, I think, pretty rad.
That would be pretty cool. Okay, if you could time travel and have dinner with any 3 people, who would they be and why? Anyone from history?
The first thing that comes to mind is more of a sentimental answer, which is my grandpa. He passed when I was in my teens, and we spent a lot of time together. But he was very fond of me, maybe for traditional Chinese reasons, but nevertheless very fond of me. And he was very nice to me, and we had some good times together. But I do know that he would be really happy to see me again if he were alive. If he could be alive again, I'm sure he would be very happy to see me. So if I could sit down and have dinner with him again, as a grown adult, ideally if I had kids, I could show him my kids.
Yeah.
It gets me quite emotional just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I think he'd be really happy for me.
Yeah. That's nice. So. Well, you could just have one person at your dinner.
You
and Grandpa
3 together.
3, yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like 3 individual dinners.
Well, either or, I guess. There's no limit to this question.
The second thing, much less sentimental and much more self-indulgent, would be probably Emma Watson, because she was my high school crush.
Yeah. And you'd ask her all about Harry Potter.
Well, I mean, not just because she's attractive, but she's very smart and
she's very smart. So,
yeah, I think it'd be an interesting conversation just to learn more about her life. And actually, this is a fun question I want to ask you, but we're getting up on time. But if I could go back to any time in history, there's definitely one answer that I have that I know I would want. I would want to go back to when the pyramids were built, so I can find out how the hell they built it. It's one of the biggest mysteries. Is it aliens? Is it humans? Was it slaves? Like, it's so fascinating. And the fact that, Cleopatra lived closer to the time of the iPhone than she did to the construction of the pyramids. It's insane. It's a marvel. And so I want to know. And so the reason I bring this up is because I would want to have dinner with the guy who built it. Like, how did you do it? If I can't travel back in time, tell me, how did you build it?
Yeah. The architect of the pyramids.
Yes, the architect of the pyramids, exactly.
Okay, cool. Well, that was actually one of my questions. So you just answered it right there. If you could travel to any era in time.
Okay, well, do you have an answer?
I want to go back to the dinosaur age because I really want to see them.
Eaten by a dinosaur or what?
I just want to see them, okay?
You want to go to Jurassic Park?
Yeah. I want to see them IRL, okay?
You wouldn't be scared?
I mean, I'm time traveling, so I wouldn't be eaten. I just want to see them. Okay, this is one last question before a rapid fire round.
Okay.
Is there one thing in life, I guess you kind of already touched on it, but is there one thing in life where if you were given the chance to, you would change?
I wish I created a habit and interest and practice of strength training from when I was in high school till starting from high school or earlier.
Okay.
Like, one of the things I wish is that I had a dad who, I can't, it's my responsibility, right? But if I did have a dad who had that influence, I think I might have developed that habit or at least exposure to it. I didn't. And so it was more up to me, it is my responsibility. But yeah, I wish I did strength training since I was a kid regularly.
Okay. I wish I had more hobbies.
It's much harder to get into strength training as an adult when you don't have that foundation and that habits. Yeah. You wish you had more hobbies? You want to get into the world of board games?
No, not hobbies, but like a sport or something that I could be like good at right now, like a or an instrument or something that I could have. Like I wish I would have started dance at like when I was 10 or something, like become like a professional dancer. Well, maybe not a professional, but a good dancer. Okay. All right. Rapid fire round. Okay. These should be fairly simple to have one words though. Okay. Favorite movie?
Okay. About Time.
Okay. Favorite book?
Harry Potter.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just the first thing that comes to my mind. So it's not really my favorite book, but.
Okay. Favorite emoji?
I think I like the thinking one.
Okay.
I use it a lot.
Okay. Favorite food? Just give me one.
Sashimi.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Okay. Favorite childhood cartoon character?
Doraemon.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Most used app on your phone?
WhatsApp or Twitter.
Okay. Favorite board game?
Terraforming Mars. Geez, like, cool.
Okay. Guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, Singles Inferno. Yo, I binged those first 3 episodes that just came out of the new season this past. Have you watched it?
No, I don't even think I watched the first season or any. And I'm so good with those kinds of shows. Dang.
Unimpressed, yeah.
Maybe I gotta.
Season 3 just came out a few days ago, and I watched all 3 episodes on the first day it was released.
Wow. Damn. He loves those reality TV shows. Okay. Anyways,
Not
those
all,
were
but a lot of them.
Yeah. Anyways, those were my rapid fire questions. Thank you so much for
preparing all those questions. Those were good questions. Hopefully I gave interesting and not too rambly answers most of the time.
Yeah. Hopefully hopefully you guys all enjoyed getting to know David maybe a bit more, learning something new.
Did you feel you learned a few things?
Yeah.
That's hard.
For sure.
That's hard to do because you know me so well.
Yeah.
What did you learn? What's your takeaway?
Well, I didn't know that you would be a singer in another lifetime if that was your, if you had the
skill that I could.
skill.
Yeah. What's your answer?
If I could master any talent or skill, I'd probably become like some kind of like fighter because I don't like, I would want to do that, but like, I don't want to go to like any of these classes. Like I would just
like an MMA,
not an MMA, like a martial artist.
Oh, do some sort of.
But I just have that. Yeah, but I just have that skill. Like I never needed to go.
Your friend has been wanting to get you to.
I know, but I don't want to. I just want the skill without having
the practice.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean that's the question.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So
thanks for the fun birthday episode questions.
Well, maybe one last question. Like, what do you have planned for your birthday? Anything fun?
Not too much. So I want to nothing gets me more excited than the ability to buy, learn, and play a new board game.
Right.
It's like Christmas for me. I'm like, oh my God, let me read the rules. And then, this thing I do with new board games is that I always learn by playing it the first time by myself, and I'll play it against myself. I'll play with my left hand versus my right hand. And that's how I learned the board game the first time, just to understand how it works.
Right.
So I bought a board game off Amazon, but there's no delivery dates. It's out of stock, but it still let me buy it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we'll email you when we have a delivery date. I'm like,
right.
I still don't have an email.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a long story. I still have some other new board games that I can play, but
okay, I was gonna say, are you gonna spend your birthday waiting for the Amazon delivery guy to come deliver your board game?
No, and then also my partner was gave a very generous and nice gift, which is the Harry Potter Castle and Grounds Lego. So it's what is it, like over like 2,000, 3,000 pieces. So we'll probably get started on that.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. Yeah. And then on my birthday, speaking of things that I've never done before and adding to my canvas of colors.
Yeah.
I've never gone to an omakase dinner. So she's taking me to an omakase. I'm not a fancy eating person, but I will indulge this time because I've never done it before. So it'll be hopefully a bit fun experience. Have you done it before?
I think I've done it once before. It's a lot of food, but
is it? Because that's what I'm scared about. I don't want like just little tiny pieces one by one, and I'm like, okay, can you?
Well, it is like that, but then there's like so many different courses that you'll be pretty good by the end. Okay. But yeah, I mean, like it's like these little pieces, and you're supposed to like I know. And, like taste it, whatever. I'm like, like shove it into my mouth.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and be a connoisseur and like,
taste the notes,
taste the ocean. I can, what a nice texture. Or
taste the ocean. It's salty. Okay, well, I hope you have a fantastic birthday, and
34 young.
34 years young. That's right. Are we taking a break after this?
Yes. Yeah. We're going to take a brief holiday break. It's not really the end of the season because we want to have a bigger break later. But we're going to be off for 2 weeks just so we can enjoy our Christmas holidays and hope you all enjoy your Christmas or holidays in however way you celebrate or enjoy it.
We'll be back in the new year.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year.
Yay! Happy New Year, everybody.